So there's this spiritual development process. So the root is the first step. We really need to work at the root first. And at the very, very deep core, the root chakra is about safety, feeling safe in the world, feeling safe in our body, feeling safe with people. If we don't feel safe, our nervous system, which is a big part of our chakra system, is going to be activated and in survival. And if we're in survival, we're not going to be able to raise our frequency and really see things and feel things from a higher perspective, because we're stuck in the physicalness of survival. It's almost like a more primitive consciousness. Not that that is less than. It's been talked about less than in research for centuries, but primitive consciousness is as valuable as spiritual consciousness. It's just a lower density frequency. The primitive consciousness is what keeps us safe. It's the part of us, I call it body consciousness, that knows when there's a predator watching us. It knows when there's someone who's not safe approaching us, right? The things in life that we need to know in our body. So it's like in a healthy, balanced root chakra, it would be relaxed, and your nervous system would be relaxed. It would feel safe as it moves about the world, and only activated when there is real threats. If you've done any research about trauma in modern day, you know that they talk about how we are in chronic stress states all the time. Yes, tigers aren't chasing us anymore, but we are stressed out about making it to work on time, finishing that project on time, all these work things. The stress is more man-made than it is actual nature trying to attack us or kill us, like it was back in primitive times, but it's still eliciting the same stress response in our body. And a lot of us are under pressure and under stress so much that it's almost like our root chakras are overactivated. And when they're overactivated, it filters the way we perceive reality, the way we feel about reality. Like, I don't feel safe, this isn't safe. And we do all kinds of dysfunctional things to try to balance that energy. This is why like having knowledge about the energy body can be so helpful, because you may notice how you may cope in unhealthy ways when you're really just trying to ground your body. And when you're given tools and skills of how to ground your body without having to lean on those unhealthy coping mechanisms, you start to shift the balance in your body to things that are more healthy and supportive for your whole body. So it's interesting to look at all the chakras separately, because they aren't really separate. They're cooperating together all the time. But for the sake of really getting deeper into each one, we are going to talk about them separately. And the things we're going to talk about are, what does it look like when the chakra is balanced? What does it look like? What are the needs that are held within that chakra? What are the feelings that are elicited when those needs are met? And what are the feelings that are elicited when they're not met? And then when is it imbalanced? And what do we feel when that happens? What physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual things happen when it's imbalanced? And then what to do about it. That is what we're going to cover with each chakra. So it'll give you like a roundabout knowledge and information for you to be able to assess, am I having root chakra issues? And once you learn the chakras, you'll be able to really quickly analyze any kind of issue in your life and know what level this is, what chakra this is related to, because they're very specific universes. Basically, they're like little planets in our body. So the root chakra is often associated with a deep red color. It actually is the slowest frequency. So if you think about the spectrum of the chakras from red to violet, it's like infrared to ultraviolet. It's like our visual spectrum, or outside our visual spectrum in that matter. It is the closest to solid as far as its frequency and its energy goes. And it is absolutely tied into survival. It is the chakra that's associated with our physical body, and it's associated with our stress responses and our sense of safety, stability, and survival. So when it's balanced, you get a general feeling of feeling stable. You feel grounded, you feel safe, you feel secure. There's a certain stillness that comes when you are really deeply grounded in your root chakra that creates peace. And I would say, like, one of the biggest issues in our modern world is that we're really overactive in our mind, and we need rootedness more than ever, especially because, like, even children in school, they're taught just in a brain way. They're not embodied learning. They're not like creative and playing like with their whole self. They're being talked to, they're being asked to memorize. It's all really heavy in the mind and intellect. And because of that, we really need to counterbalance that with rootedness, groundedness. And so when we are grounded and we are rooted that way, we have a sense of stillness, peace, and harmony within ourselves. We don't feel stressed. We're relaxed. Our nervous system is regulated. And we're able to fully live in the present moment. Think about when you walk in nature, the feeling that elicits. It's like your eyes expand far and wide. It feels spacious. The sounds and the sensations and the light and the colors, the green, it all just creates a presence. It almost like all the worries and stress of your day kind of melts away. And that's what it is to be grounded. So a big part of the root chakra is also letting go of energy. And that's what creates that state of flow and presence, is that we're not holding our breath. We're not in a stress response. We're not ruminating about an issue. We're really just in the moment, flowing our energy freely. And as we'll do in the meditation when we ground, it's like a big part of that is allowing excess energy or stuck energies to release and move. So as you work with the root chakra, you're actually liberating all the other chakras, because the root is really the gateway to releasing excess energy, releasing dysfunctional energy, and releasing energy that's not yours out of your system. Think about it. The root chakra is actually, well, this is debated, located at the base of your spine. And some people say the perineum, which is between the vagina and anus for female, the genitals, or the anus in the man. It is the very bottom of the torso. It's very close to where we physically release, right, solids out of our body. It's physically releasing through bowel movements, but it's also an energy release when we have bowel movements too. So when we work with our energy body, we visualize energy leaving that area, going down to the earth, because the earth is a much bigger transducer, like transformer. It can take that energy and transmute it for you. And also there is a grounding with the earth, feeling connected with the earth, feeling connected with your body, being aware and connected with how you're feeling, with the current state of whatever the present moment is. When you connect in with the earth energetically, you're actually grounding your energy, like plugging in something. You're plugging into the earth. If we're disconnected and we're running a lot of energy, we can actually fry out, burn out, right? We talk about being burned out. Is literally what happens, is we burn out our energy system, because the excess energy has nowhere to go. It's just cycling and burning us out. So grounding is an essential part of also releasing energy. Part of a balanced root chakra is also feeling sure-footed, stable, not being clumsy, being really present and aware of your surroundings and remembering things that are important. And just, it's basically the opposite of when it's not balanced. It's like you're clumsy, you're scattered, you keep losing stuff, you don't know where anything is. It's almost like you're flighty. You're not in yourself. You're not like in the present moment, really paying attention to everything. You're forgetting things. Life feels good. Food is an enjoyable experience that's very grounding. Physical activity, sex, sensation in the body, emotions and desires are all part of that groundedness. And it's being aware of all of those things. If on any level we're restricting access to those things, or we're suppressing them or denying them, we are constricting our root chakra, because those are necessary aspects of the physical experience. There's an openness to life without any kind of fear or insecurity that happens when you're grounded and rooted in yourself. There's a state of gratitude and appreciation and abundance when you're also really grounded and rooted, because you have a sense of like, I have everything I need. All my needs are met. All my physical needs are met, right? The Maslow hierarchy needs, like the base level needs, are met. And so there's no expended energy stressing about how to get those basic needs met. So like if you have a lot of major life changes happening, maybe you lose a job, or you're evicted, or like your sense of living is threatened, it'll be the priority until that's resolved, because it's so foundational, right? Survival kicks in until you resolve that thing. It is priority in this physical world. So when we have a sense of having a home, when we have a sense of having what we need to get our needs met, to pay the bills, all those things. It allows us to have a more openness to life and gratitude and appreciation, because it's like, I have what I need. Everything else is just icing on the cake, right? Some people theorize that each chakra has an age associated of development. So the age associated with the root chakra is ages 1 through 8. This is when we're really learning our bodies, learning how to get our physical needs met for ourselves. So if there's a lot of root chakra imbalance, look at that age range. What might have happened during that time that may have impacted you to feel a lack of safety or security or openness to life. A big part of a balanced root chakra is someone who prioritizes self-care, taking care of the body specifically, not just, self-care as like, I'm going to go binge on a bunch of alcohol and like, I don't know, do really unhealthy things to my body. Self-care as in really nourishing the body with healthy food, adequate sleep and rest is huge. Regulating the body, getting out of the stress response, and physical exercise. Those are all things that are going to help your root chakra really thrive. So again, it's all physical needs. So the needs that are associated with the chakra is a need for safety, a need for housing, a need for money, because in our world, money is access to resources. A need for time and affection and love from people. A need for clean air, healthy food, water, room for body movement, comfort, calmness, spaces where we feel safe, where we can connect with nature, where there's nature around us. We really, really need nature. There's a lot of really fascinating studies of animals that they isolate in cages and like the health effects of just doing that. They've even done the research with inmates in jails where they actually participated in some of that research when I was at Berkeley, where they had inmates listen to sounds of nature and look at images of nature, and actually they had more physiological changes that indicated that they were regulating their nervous system more than inmates that didn't have access to seeing nature. Even artificial nature made a difference. So that's how important it is. Like, we really, really need to actually have nature around us. That's part of something that our bodies need. We need joy, time to just play and have fun. Those are really, really important things. And as I talk about all those things, you may notice that these are not often things that are prioritized in our culture. It's, like, do we really have access to really clean water? Do we really have access to clean air? Do we really have enough nature in the spaces we predominantly spend our time in? Are those things that are really prioritized? No, they're not. And so in this modern world, we really do have to prioritize it for ourselves even more if we're spending a lot of time in modern places where that's being neglected. So when we have all of this, what we feel in our body is we feel stable, we feel secure, we get to expand even more greater into states of awe and wonder because we have our needs met. We feel involved with the world, with ourselves, with nature. There's a healthy absorption in what we do, what we're doing. Doing stuff with our hands, doing tasks and work can be very grounding for us. Repetition, those kind of things kind of sink us into a regulated state in our nervous system. We feel energetic. So this is huge. Lethargy is a huge, I think, issue in our culture. A lot of us drink caffeine because of it. There's a couple of reasons why. The root chakra is associated with the adrenal glands. Even though the adrenal glands are quite a bit higher, they're on top of our kidneys, they are energetically tied to the root chakra. The adrenal glands are what takes the brunt of stress. And also they're activated with caffeine. So if we're like really stressed and we're doing caffeine because we're feeling low energy because our adrenals are burning out, it actually doesn't help too much. And so being energetic is a huge part of knowing that your root chakra is balanced. If we're feeling lethargic, like we're losing energy, like our root chakra really is the storehouse for life force energy for our whole system. It's a sign that we need rest. It's a sign that we need to recuperate. It's a sign that we need to regenerate and ground. When our needs are met, we feel passionate, radiant, joyful, lighthearted, motivated, calm and comfortable, rested. And we have an ease of manifestation because we have our needs met. We're not in survival mode. I would say the root chakra is probably the most overtaking chakra out of all the chakras, because if, like I said, if our survival is threatened, that's going to become your priority over everything else until that's resolved. So doing what you can to make sure these aspects are supported is going to support you for all the other layers at a deep level. And this is why they call it the base chakra, the foundational chakra. So when these needs aren't met, we feel a lot of things. We feel restless, anxious. So think about restlessness and anxiousness. It's like energy that doesn't have anywhere to go. And again, that's a sign that we're ungrounded. If we ground in the anxious energy, the restless energy has somewhere to go. We can drain it out. Again, it's activated by a sense of not being safe, right? If we're not feeling safe, we're going to feel anxiety. Fear is a big feeling in the root chakra. When we feel fearful, it's usually because we're worried or stressed or anxious about something. Again, it's because we're not feeling a sense of rootedness and safety in our life. If we're feeling confused and lost, that can be a sign that we're not grounded, that we're not really centered in ourselves, that we are losing ourselves in some way. Feeling disoriented, unstable, unsecure, disconnected, withdrawn, agitated, which is a sign that our nervous system is dysregulated, self-conscious, afraid, depleted, depressed, and hopeless. So depression and depleted and lethargy is an issue when we're not getting enough rest, when we are literally in stress response all of the time. Depression is something a little different. I do believe it is a root chakra issue in the sense that it has to do with us not being connected to what we're really feeling and what we're really needing. If we're ignoring the signs of our body's cues of what it needs, our emotions, we become depressed. It's almost like we're not able to get our needs met and we get into a state of hopelessness around it. And we can really, there's so many physiological changes that happen with that kind of get us stuck there. So again, knowing that that's a root chakra issue, it's like, okay, things that you can do to start to move that energy, to start to shift it, is like be in nature, ground, get extra rest, expressing your emotions is part of it too, even though it's more throat chakra. Doing something with your hands, staying busy, keeping yourself in a state of regulation. Those are all things that would really, really help. So when that chakra is unbalanced, some of the physical symptoms that you might have is feeling clumsy, feeling kind of flighty, kind of on edge, hyper alert, anxiety, a sense of scarcity, fear, feeling like there's not enough, a chronic pushing away or pulling in of feelings or things, trying to control the flow of your needs. Pain in the body is a huge sign of this root chakra being out of balance. It's a physical symptom. If people who are obsessed with attaining things in life for the purpose of attaining things can have an overactive root chakra. Not that they won't be successful at it. It just means that they'll have an overactive root chakra. And if they are endlessly searching for more and more and more, they will be chronically frustrated and disappointed, because if you ground your happiness in outer fulfillment and outer things that you need to have or accumulate or whatever, you will be chronically disappointed because the outer world is always changing. So part of the root chakra health is to root within yourself, root within your own state of being. And this is where, when this is unbalanced and there's this craving for more and more and more, that's where addiction comes in. And we see people struggle with addiction with drugs, alcohol, gambling, shopaholics, sexaholics, loveaholics, foodaholics, technologyaholics. There's so many things, right? And it has to do with an imbalanced root chakra. It's like we're trying to ground and regulate ourselves through some exterior thing, because when we get that thing, it gives us a hit of some sort of happiness, some sort of sense of regulation, and then we're we're misidentifying those activities as the way we root ourselves. So physical ailments that happen in the body when the root chakra is out of alignment, the physical associations in the body with the root chakra are everything below the hips. So the feet and the ankles, the toes, the legs, the knees, the thighs, the hips, the butt, maybe, I don't know. Constipation, weight problems, adrenal gland problems. It's associated with the bones and the teeth as well. So the things that are most solid in our body. Issues with bowel movements, so constipation or diarrhea, it's like an inability to regulate the release of the physical nourishment in our body, pain in the body, being disassociated from the body, so completely not being in touch with yourself or your emotions, or trying to avoid pain through medicine can also really imbalance the root chakra. So physical ailments have to do with any of those body regions, any of those body parts. Mental and emotional issues of a root chakra that is out of balance. You really, with the root chakra, really got to consider early childhood life experiences, because our general sense of safety is reared in us at a very early age. Our orientation of life with ourselves and the world is fostered in an early age. So if you had really severe early childhood experiences of trauma, it could really affect this area, and healing needs to happen on that layer first. So if there's ever a felt sense of lack of safety, anxiety, depression, or lack of energy or vitality, those are things that will affect us and our mental states and our mindset, as well as affect our emotional states. The energy is creating more problem. Lack of confidence is also a symptom. Feeling like someone doesn't belong in the world, feeling like they can't trust themselves. Trust is a huge, huge piece too. I mean, trust and safety kind of go hand in hand. So if you can't trust yourself or the world, it's going to create a lot of issues for you to be able to really manifest what you want. An inability to let things go is a huge part of the root chakra imbalance for emotions, not letting go of emotions. People who quickly fly off the handle or really let the stress response take them over really easily, it can be because their root chakra is really overactive. People who excessively worry about the future or anxious, failing to be present and not able to really hold themselves in the present moment. They are almost, it's like you look at them and they're just not there, right? Disassociated. That's a sign of a root chakra issue. The root chakra has, like, the verb for the root chakra is to have. So the root chakra is like the part of us that allows us to have what we want, the physical things. And so if we struggle with having what we want and being able to hold and keep what we want, that can be a sign of a root chakra issue. So that has to do with money, love, time, resources, opportunities. And finally, a felt lack of purpose or reason for living. The root chakra at the base level has to do with survival, is literally life or death. It's said that the root chakra is the area where we decide to let go of life before we pass. So and depression can be like a lack of reason for living, a lack of purpose, feeling a sense of like being lost in life. If we're not feeling rooted and grounded in who we are and our life path, it can really cause a series of negative symptoms down the road that then give us a felt sense of just lost for lust of living. Like we don't really want to be here anymore. People who are too focused on the spiritual dimension and neglect the body, which is like what we saw in those ancient scriptures, right? It's like, overcome the urges of the body, stay abstinent, don't make money, vows of poverty, vows of celibacy, like these things that we used to do to attain spiritual experiences, is actually disconnecting with our body. It's disassociating with our body, and it almost starves off the root chakra. So having said all of that, that's a lot of information. If any of that resonates for you, just notice what does resonate for you. We're gonna do a little exercise after the meditation where I'll ask questions about, when do you feel the most safe or grounded in yourself? Or when do you feel the most safe and grounded with people or others? And who are those other people? And what activities do you feel the most present and alive? Like, these are things to think about. What activities in your life give you energy, fill you up? What energies in your life deplete your energy? These are all root chakra things, right? Like things that are feeding or starving off your life force, you really need to pay attention to. If someone's like at a job that they hate and they're just, it's soul sucking, that's like a root chakra issue. It's like you're showing up, but you don't really want to be there. right? So it's like your body's there, but you're not there mentally or spiritually or emotionally. These are all things to really pay attention to and honor and respect, because like I said, if we don't pay attention to the energy exchanges happening and we don't do anything with it, it starts to manifest physically in our body, and then we have to deal with it. So to move into some of the solution-based things, what can we do with the root chakra to begin to shift it? So in the meditation, I'm going to walk us through grounding, which is a basic practice that a lot of my members in the Soul Activation membership do. We do it every time. We'll release excess energy. We'll release energy that's not ours, and we'll bring up grounding energy from the earth. Some things that I obviously can't do online that you could do for yourself is the sensory organ that's associated with the root chakra is smell. So if you can have something that is aromatic, whether it's incense, whether it's essential oils, whether it's a candle, something that gives you a sensory experience of smell will ground you. And there's a reason for this, that out of all of our physical senses, our olfactory goes straight to our brain. It doesn't get filtered. It's a direct experience. It has the littlest delay in receiving it experientially in our body. And there's so much to say about the olfactory bulb and studies they've done on animals and how it actually helps them navigate and all these really cool things. But we can ground ourselves very quickly with smell. And there's certain smells that really help actually ground our energy. And they're earthy smells. So things that smell like pine trees or clove or cedar, patchouli, vetiver, black pepper, rosewood, did I say clove? Those are all scents that are very earthy. They have a certain frequency to them that brings us into body. So if you do grounding, you can pair that with something that you smell. If you do a daily practice to ground, and then you can have that with you throughout the day. If you're feeling ungrounded throughout the day, you don't have time to do a whole visualization process to ground, you can use that scent to do the same thing for your body. And those two things become associated. If you're sensitive to chemicals and scents, crystals are a very, very good tool. So the crystals that are helpful for grounding, and I recommend hematite as an anklet. Actually wearing it on your ankles can be very, very grounding for you. There's magnetic hematite, and there's hematite that's not magnetic. You can get them in bracelets, anklets. There's something that you would wear on your body. I would say it works best on your ankles or your wrists. Bloodstone, garnet, ruby. So anything like black or red or dark browns, red jasper, tourmaline, black onyx. So these are also stones that are associated with absorbing negative energy of absorbing energy. So they take energy that could be disrupting you away from your physical body and kind of do some of the work for you. And again, wear them on your ankles or your wrists. The herbs that you can drink or eat or smell or whatever you want to do with them that I've found online, I'm not an expert in this, is dandelion root, sage, ginger, and elderflower. So I know that when you use like burn white sage, like smudging, if you've heard of that, it's very grounding for the energy. It's burning earth, basically. It's a burning plant. Foods that you can eat to help you ground. Eating is very grounding. So this is why a lot of people who have root chakra issues either have excessive food consumption or maybe issues with food consumption. But some of the foods to really help you ground and really activate your root chakra are root vegetables. They're vegetables that actually grow in the ground. Proteins are very supportive for the root chakra, or just red colored foods, fruits and vegetables are helpful. And the angel, so there's an angel associated with each chakra, which is interesting, is Auriel. So Auriel. I do not know much about that angel. Something I would have to look into. There's deities associated with the chakras too. So the deities for the root chakra is Ganesha or Ganesh, Lakshmi, and Demeter. I've actually had all kinds of strange spiritual experiences with Ganesh, which I didn't even know what it was. And then I found that it was a real thing, like the human with the elephant head with multiple arms. So Ganesh is actually an Indian, I believe, an Indian deity that helps to remove obstacles, physical obstacles in life. So I have him on my altar. I love him. He's come up in my meditations. Animals that are associated with the root chakra, which you'll also see in the imagery of the root chakra, which I should have had a picture to share, but I didn't bring one. The root chakra mandala has 4 petals. It's red and it has an elephant with multiple trunks on it. The elephant obviously representing the root chakra because of the physicalness, the body mass, the heaviness of it. Same with the bull. The bull is often depicted as the body in like certain ancient scriptures and art. It represents our relationship to the body. And each chakra has a masculine or feminine polarity. The root chakra is masculine and they alternate. So the next chakra up is the sacral chakra, and that's a feminine one. It's just interesting to know the orientation of the polarity. Yeah, so obviously to ground yourself, you can use these tools. You can use crystals, you can use essential oils, you can use foods, and you can also use postures. So in yoga, there are specific postures that help with each chakra. And some of the yoga postures that help with really balancing the root chakra is the squats, which is like where it's almost like your butt is low to the ground, but you're standing and your knees are bent. It's almost like you're going potty in the woods. That helps to kind of open up that energy. Child's pose, which I think most people know what that is. Mountain pose, triangle pose, butterfly pose, and forward fold. So anything that you're like touching the ground. The forward pose, like where you're literally just bent over and touching your toes, energetically actually is releasing. So if you're a very spiritual person, you have a lot of energy moving through your upper chakras, simply bending over and like tipping that excess energy out of your field can be releasing. So it doesn't always have to move through your root chakra. So those are just tools that you can use. Today, we're going to do a meditation where we ground. We're going to visualize grounding. And then I'm going to say some affirmations, and I'm also going to do a body acknowledgement. This is a process that I did with myself for about a year when I was healing my endometriosis. I had a really beautiful guide who said that I needed to change my relationship with my body because I had a lot of hate towards it. And it was true. I hated my body. I had grown up suffering from what I was misdiagnosed endometriosis. And ever since I had my first period, which was like 11 years old before my friends, I had very heavy, prolonged periods that were very painful. I was basically like disabled for a week, sometimes up to 10 days out of every month. It was really bad when I was a teenager. And then I started taking birth control and it helped with it. But it developed a relationship with my body in a number of ways. The doctors told me that some people just have really bad periods and some don't. You're just blessed with really bad periods. And so I was like cursing the universe, mad at my body, like, why me? Why do I have such horrible periods? When I look at my friends, they're like, oh yeah, I just forgot I was on my period. I was barely even bleeding. And I just want to like smack them in the face because it's like, why is mine so bad? Right. So I developed this really unhealthy relationship with my body. And people who struggle with chronic pain, chronic illness, this is something you've got to really stay closely minded to. So in the meditation, I'm going to do a process where I practice with myself, where I give gratitude to my body. I acknowledge the millions of things that it does every moment without me needing to direct it, that it is actually always working towards healing and protecting me and really embodying the sense of safety and protection that my body gives me. And if we have self-hate towards our body, it will mess up the energy in our root chakra. And for me in my sacral chakra. Part of that body acknowledgement is also accepting the beautiful experience of our emotions. And a lot of us in our culture are reared to shun and disapprove or even hate certain types of emotions, that they're unacceptable. And that if we have them, there's something wrong with us, but that's just such a lie. So part of the meditation, I'm going to acknowledge the spectrum of emotions and how beautiful and rich our experience is in the body, and really bring a positive view of our physicality, our emotionality, and of like all of the systems that are always working for us. Our body's like a universe of itself. And like it or not, we are stuck with our body for our whole lifetime. and there's nothing we can change about it. So we have to give it support. And it starts with really acknowledging that it's here for you, it's serving you. It's not working against you, it's not broken. The things they tell you in the medical world, like your body's just broken and we don't know why. Like, I hated that they said that to me, that they delivered it to me that way, because it really developed a really negative relationship with my body. And I felt like I didn't have control of my body. I felt like I never knew what was going on with my body, that it was this big mystery, and I just hated it. But since working with my relationship with my body and giving it gratitude and acknowledging all the millions of ways that it is balancing itself every second, every moment of every day, that it is always working towards healing, I have given it permission to do what it needs to do, and also accept pain when pain needs to happen to heal, and not reject any part of the body experience. And it's just created a lot of harmony and balance in my body. So that's part of the meditation I'm going to do. And then I'm going to say some affirmations. There's a list of affirmations that are all about supporting the root chakra energy. One other thing I want to say is that supporting yourself through doing. Our root chakra is associated with the physical body. So doing stuff like actually crafting, arts, expressing yourself, sports, work, repetitive tasks, doing dishes, things, cleaning our body. Those are all grounding things that we can do for ourselves. And they create a sense of stability because they're reliable and consistently happening in our life. And if we didn't have that repetitiveness, even though it feels so mundane, everything would be changing so frequently, we wouldn't have any rooting or grounding anywhere. And it's so essential. And even though it seems boring and mundane, those are the things that really give us a launching pad to have some of the other types of experiences in our life. Expressing ourselves is definitely a big part of the root chakra, and I don't think that's talked about very often.